What if Stannis Baratheon allied with House Tyrell? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Lady Olena listened to the sounds of celebration below as her son had ordered a small dinner among his family to celebrate. A courier had come from Storm's End, bearing a letter from Renly Baratheon. It contained a proposal for the Tyrells. Join their houses in marriage so that they might claim the Iron Throne together. For some, like her son, he made a show of mulling it over, promising to provide an answer within the moon's turns. Yet Olena knew her son. He would be jumping out his seat to accept this offer. It had everything he wanted: a position within the highest office, further legitimacy for his house, and his name ringing through the history books. And that was why she took him for a fool. It was a generous offer, but not out of the goodness of the king's heart. Renly needed them. His only claim to power was having the most swords in his army, and yet Olena doubted the boy's ability to use them. While he was a favorite in the lists, Renly had never commanded an army in battle, and didn't seem in a hurry to try it. He may have called his banners, but he appeared to be in no hurry to march them to King's Landing, and end the war in a stroke. Meanwhile, there was his brother, the Brooder. Stannis had locked himself up in his seat, gathering his fleet and hiring sellswords. Yet, unless he hired the Golden Company, he would not have the men to take the city. He would require the aid of a great house, even more than his brother. Her thoughts were interrupted by her son entering her chambers.
Mother, the rest of the family is waiting for you downstairs.
It depends, Mace. Are you still intending to continue with this foolishness?
Foolishness? Mother, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. It's our chance to finally bring a family to the Iron Throne.
Yes, I am aware of that. I am also aware that all the kings you could have chosen, you decided to go with the Sword Swallower.
Those are just lies. Filthy lies.
And lies they might be, but should Renly fail to produce a male heir, they will fester. Who benefits from them more than Stannis? No matter what Renly does, he shall never have the legal right to rule.
Stannis has a sixth of the men Renly has. He has not even sent a raven to our camp.
Of course he won't. He thinks himself king. Yet he knows how to use them far better. Renly would make a valuable ally, you are correct there. But allying with half the ruling house will only bring trouble. Our position is strong, not just because of the swords we bring, but because we can force them to unite.
Then what do you suggest we do? As I say, Stannis has not even sent a raven to us yet.
Of course he hasn't, you dolt. When have you ever known a king to beg for alliances? He expects us to send our offer first. That is why you will send him a letter tonight, proposing an alliance. Meanwhile, Renly's ambassador shall be informed of our deep love for House Baratheon, and how we are committed to ensuring they gain the Iron Throne.
Mace opens his mouth to argue, but he can see that the Queen of Thorns' mind is made up. Instead, he simply bows his head and walks off to complete his instructions, like a good boy. Stannis receives the letter in Dragonstone. It reaffirms House Tyrell's loyalty to the Baratheon dynasty, and they promise to provide aid, just as Olena has instructed. A marriage alliance must be struck between Garland Tyrell and Shireen Baratheon. This is something the King of Dragonstone accepts. Garland is a respected knight, gallant and courteous, someone he knows will treat his daughter well. However, she also insists Mace add the second section, a request that rather than attacking King's Landing directly, they first move to the Reach, where they can rendezvous and combine their armies. It is a precaution to ensure that they can march through the region safely and not be cut off. It is a reasonable request, and Stannis sees the military value in it. His fleet soon sets sail just as Renly's ambassador arrives with the promise that the Reach will serve House Baratheon. He would need their support too, as he has received word that Robb Stark has declared independence, supported by the Northmen and Riverlords. Renly makes preparations to march out and meet with his new family in Highgarden. His outriders arrive, reporting that they have spotted ships off the marches. There are hundreds of them, all bearing the fiery heart of Dragonstone. It seems like a trap for Renly to capture him. Rather than continue his journey, he immediately calls for his men to regroup along the western fringes of the Stormlands. In Night Song, he sends out a call to arms to his bannermen. They are to ride out with all their strength. They block the eastern half of Bitterbridge, preventing any Reachmen from crossing without their permission. In the coming weeks, Renly gathers some 15,000 men with him. Meanwhile, Stannis arrives in Highgarden, where he finds nearly 25,000 Reachmen. Together with his forces, he will have more than 30,000 troops. It is more than enough to conquer King's Landing.
We do not need to engage my brother's army. With my fleet, we can bypass the Stormlands entirely. After we capture King's Landing, this will leave him isolated. I can force him to submit at my leisure.
A wise move, Your Grace. The Lord of Light looks down on kinslaying. It will do you no good to start your reign with such barbarity.
I see you are not a military woman. If you ask me, such a plan would be foolish, Your Grace. Leaving the Stormlands unconquered leaves the city isolated.
She is correct, Your Grace. The city needs our grain to survive, and the waters of Shipwrecker Bay are unreliable.
If you wish for me to fight with my brother, I will require more of your men, Lady Tyrell. 30,000 will not suffice to conquer the Stormlands and besiege the capital.
Yes, you will have as many swords as you need. It is just that raising an army of that size takes time.
Do not play me for a fool, Lord Tyrell. I know how many men the Reach can raise.
We do hope you will take the Stormlands and secure the land route between the region and our city. However, not by conquest. It will do no good for the realm if the House of Baratheon remains divided. You must make peace with him.
Peace? All while my brother places a crown upon his head and calls himself a king. There will never be peace so long as there are two kings.
Then make him see that. You have twice as many men as him now. Remind him of that.
5, 6 of those men happen to be Reachmen.
Do you distrust us? I suppose you would be right to do so. Yes, but we have reason to want peace too. Renly has long been a friend to our house, so I would rather we not have to kill him. But make no mistake, we have offered our swords to you because I know you understand how to use them.
Very well. I will hear what my brother has to say.
A messenger is sent across Bitterbridge with this offer, suggesting they meet in Storm's End. Hours later, he returns with the answer. Renly will entertain peace talks in his seat. With that, Stannis, Mace, Loras, Garland, and Olena all take to a ship and journey to the Baratheon seat, where they see Renly has assembled another 5,000 men. Stannis and his troops disembark, warily eyeing the forest of Baratheon banners. The crowned stag flies high in brilliant yellow and black. It is joined with the crow of Morrigan, the swan of the swans, the inkpot of Penrose, and many more. They are carried by fierce-looking knights who front a host of longbowmen. More of these archers stand atop the castle walls. Renly had gathered them here as a form of intimidation. He is aware of his army's lack of numbers and tries to compensate for pomp. Stannis is accompanied by the seahorse of the ancient Valyrians, the lighthouse of Hightower, the huntsman of Tarly, and the black ship of Seaworth, whom Stannis has insisted on accompanying them. They are carried by knights and men-at-arms in glimmering plate. The only one not impressed by this force is Sir Loras, who watches from the Stormlands. A part of him wants nothing more than to join them. Yet he also reminds himself where his family chooses to stand. He forces himself to stand tall as they enter the great drum tower of Storm's End, where Renly is seated atop a high antlered throne. He has a smile on his face, and absently swirls a glass of wine in his hand. Yet that amusement does not reach his face.
Welcome home, brother.
I never thought I'd see you look drearier than our castle, brother. You have agreed to negotiate. So, I take it you have considered my terms. Serve me, and I will allow you to remain ruler of the Stormlands and retain your seat as Master of Law.
Oh, how generous of you, my brother. You allow me to keep what is already mine.
It is more than you deserve. Some of my bannermen have already called for your head. They say you were a traitor who took advantage of chaos to raise yourself up. I will not say they are foolish in that belief either.
Your bannerman, or Mace Tyrells. Let us be honest, brother. Without him, what would you have? Dragonstone. A few barely habitable rocks with more sheep than people. Codfish lords and onion knights. I still have the Stormlands to call upon.
That only means more for you to lose, my lord. Surely you can see how desperate this path of yours is. Loras, you shared a saddle with this boy. Make him see reason.
Grandmother. Renly, we do not want to fight. My father knows you have always been a great friend to him. We do not want to see you destroyed in this war, but we will fight if we have to. However, if you ask me, I think some accommodations might be reached. This will not close your path to advancement forever.
There is a hint of pleading in his voice, but also something else. As they speak, Renly catches a slight wink as Loras regards him. He thinks for a long moment, then bows his head.
Fine then. This shall suffice.
With that, an agreement is reached, and their armies join together. Now the combined Baratheon army reaches close to 60,000 men, more than enough to face the full Lannister army. Thankfully, they do not have to face the full army. As the Baratheons tried to make peace, Robb Stark was making war. He crushed the Lannister army in the Whispering Woods and River Run, resulting in the capture of Jaime Lannister. This leaves Tywin cut off from the rest of his troops in the Westerlands, and only with 20,000 men. Still, Stannis knows not to underestimate him. The Lord of Casterly Rock can still cause a great mess if he is left unchecked. So as the army crosses into the Crownlands, Renly is tasked with halting Tywin's advance and ensuring he cannot relieve the city. Stannis might not fully trust his brother, but he can at least be sure that he dislikes the Lannisters as much as him. When they approach a fork in the road, the army splits in half, one going to King's Landing and the other to Harrenhal. Renly and Loras ride at the head of their host, the banners of House Tyrell and Baratheon fluttering in the wind. They set up on a nearby ridge overlooking the God's Eye, where they intend to intercept Tywin Lannister's advance and ensure he cannot break the siege on King's Landing. As they ride, Loras glances at Renly, his expression conflicted. The silence between them stretches before he finally speaks.
I was wrong to back Stannis. It was what my family wanted, and I could not go against them. I urged my father to accept your proposal and let Marjorie marry you, but my grandmother insisted your brother was the better choice. I could not change her mind, and you know my father. If his mother orders him to do something, he is unwilling to refuse.
Renly says nothing at first, his eyes fixed ahead.
I don't expect forgiveness, but I will make it right. Don't think this means I have abandoned you either. I will ensure you have the throne, whatever it takes, even if it means ensuring Shireen is disinherited. You're mad, you know that. I've always been mad. Isn't that why you love me?
Renly pauses and then chuckles. He rides up next to his companion and strokes his cheek.
Let's just say you're fortunate you're pretty. Perfect to appear by my side when we're ruling things. But first, we need to win some glory. Then let's go hunting.
Meanwhile, King's Landing braces for war. With the rest of his army, Stannis strikes. With no Lannister reinforcements in sight, the city stands vulnerable. The defenders make a valiant effort, holding the walls and raining arrows down as their army approaches and pushes back their scaling ladders. The infantry screams forward while ships from the Blackwater Bay intended to capture the harbor and sea walls as well. Meanwhile, light cavalry rushes through the countryside, ambushing any relief columns from the Crownlands. In the city, Tyrion organizes a desperate defense. He orders the Hound and Bronn to lead sorties that beat back enemy assaults while wildfire is unleashed upon the bay. Though many of the city's remaining galleys go up in flames, so does much of Stannis' fleet. The fighting outside the city remains desperate too, as the houses of Rosby, Riker, Hayford, and Stokeworth try to send aid, but are routed. His forces encircle the city like a tightening noose. In desperation, Tyrion pours wildfire outside the city gates to prevent them from using it, but Melisandre utters a prayer, and the flames seem to part for her. Within days, they breach the walls. The first atop the wall is Garland Tyrell, who sweeps his sword and clears it of defenders so more men can follow him. Seeing their defenses crumbling, the remaining gold cloaks break and run away. Many surrender. Others shed their armor and weapons and try to blend in with the populace. Others turn on their officers. The Red Keep is stormed. The king is dragged from the Sept where he's hiding. Queen Cersei disappears with her children, and the small council is either executed or imprisoned. To the west, Tywin Lannister marches swiftly with the remnants of his army, hoping to strike before the city is fully secured. But he never makes it. As he rushes along the curve of the God's Eye, they hear the hooves of Renly's heavy cavalry as he rushes to face them. The knights of the Reach and Stormlands dip their lances as they prepare to charge. Tywin and his infantry form up to halt their attack, and it does just that. For all their pomp and splendor, even the best heavy cavalry cannot crack a disciplined line of horsemen, and this is proven to be the case in the ensuing clash. They try 3 times to break the Lannister line to no avail, until they eventually pull back. Seeing this, the advanced guard of the infantry follows, panicked by the failure. Tywin wastes no time and orders his men after them, eager to cross into the Crownlands. However, as he rounds the corner, arrows begin to rain down as Renly has kept the bulk of their longbowmen back on the ridge. And now they pour arrows while the wall of men-at-arms and dismounted knights block their escape. The battle is brief, brutal, and decisive. Renly's heavy cavalry reforms, and Loras leads them into a charge. Tywin attempts to rally his men, but morale falters under the crushing assault. His lines collapse. By nightfall, what remains of the Lannister host scatters into the Riverlands, broken. Tywin himself is cut down by a hail of arrows, while Kevan barely escapes with his life, retreating west with only a few thousand survivors. Victory belongs to Renly, yet the success does not stop there. He sees the road is open for his army and continues to push in deeper. While they had been fighting amongst brothers, Robb had declared independence. and the River Lords had followed him. This makes them enemies of the Baratheons, and Renly decides to take the initiative and strike while their army is scattered, or in the Westerlands. He orders his cavalry to rush forward and captures Harrenhal, which remains almost undefended. The small garrison Tywin left behind is no match for their army, and it falls in an afternoon. With such a large castle falling to enemy hands, much less one in such a critical location, it is a serious blow to Robb Stark's war efforts. The king in the north is willing to offer terms to Stannis, promising to come to terms and even putting aside his crown if it means putting an end to the war. All Robb asks in exchange is pardons for himself and those who followed him. That and their aid in rebuilding and retaking their territory. Stannis is receptive to the idea, as he has no real distrust of the young Stark. He considers it, and the two begin exchanging letters regarding the matter, and they are close to coming to terms. However, Renly is less than pleased. He sees this war as his chance to win glory. A part of him wishes to continue the war and seize more territory, but Loras pulls him aside and shakes his head.
We must not expand too deep. If we continue to antagonize the River Lords, we risk alienating them completely, and we will need their support. I suppose you are right.
However, that does not mean that he is entirely prepared to give up the Riverlands. The youngest Baratheon remains in Harrenhal and garrisons it, naming one of his men, Gyre Morrigan, as its castellan. He also approaches House Derry, whose line is nearly exhausted. Their current heir is a Frey girl, Gatehouse Amy. To him, Laura suggests placing a Reachman, one of their friends, Emyn Kai, to be betrothed to her and become Lord of Derry. Neither Mace nor Stannis can see anything wrong, and so a peace deal is signed where Stannis proclaims that all those who followed Robb Stark are pardoned and no longer considered traitors. He reaffirms that their goal had always been justice for Ned Stark, a lord who had served the crown well and was betrayed by the Lannisters. To show their commitment to justice, the Northmen are invited to watch the public execution of Joffrey, Jaime, and Cersei, something many men eagerly take Stannis up on. The latter two are simply executed by beheading, but the former has a special punishment. Melisandre personally burns him alive as an offering to the Lord of Light. This amuses the likes of Roose Bolton and Rickard Karstark, but Robb soon decides he's had enough of southern politics and instead is happy with the Redwind fleet provided by Stannis to reclaim Winterfell. These fresh troops help bolster the northern war effort, and many of the Ironborn holdings are lost in a matter of weeks. By the time Winterfell is retaken, the garrison consists of less than 30 men, and they storm on their first attempt. Though Theon claims to have murdered Bran and Rickon, it is revealed that they had hidden inside the crypts. Their safe return, coupled with Sansa being sent back north, leaves the Northmen grateful for Stannis' aid and gladly supports him. Now, with the support of the North and the Reach, Renly needs the River Lords to back him more than ever if he is to grow his faction. He sees some of his early success with Harrenhal and Derry and tries to build on it. He approaches the Freys and arranges a marriage pact with one of Robert's bastards, Edric Storm. He allies with the Blackwoods in a border dispute between them and the Brackens, personally pleading their case before Stannis. And then he provides gold for Jason Mallister to strengthen Seaguard, given the recent Ironborn attacks. But that is just the beginning. They had suffered the most from the recent Lannister invasion, so the crown spared no expense in the rebuilding effort. Renly takes charge of this, and pushes Lord Riker of Duskendale to be the new Master of Coin. He also recommends Lord Redwyne to replace Stannis as Master of Ships, something the new hand, Mace Tyrell, happily agrees on. This also indebted the Redwynes to Renly, as they had not taken part in the war by ensuring they reaped the spoils. With money flowing freely through the Riverlands, Renly insists on taking a part in the rebuilding due to his role as the Master of Law. He rides out from town to town, village to village, and distributes wealth and relief aid. He also meets with Sir Edmure, with whom he becomes fast friends. Loras Tyrell proves to be a boon to have. Everyone in the realm knows of the Knights of Flowers. They speak of him as that generation's next great knight. Having him by Renly's side proves helpful in his reputation, especially when he jousts with local knights or offers flowers to the girls in the village, looking every bit the hero everyone believes. All of this ensures the Riverlands recover quickly, and while Stannis might be the king, Renly was the one seen throughout the region. He was the one who appointed the new Master of Coin, and he is one of the friends of their liege lord. Soon, it is Renly whose name they are cheering. Olena Tyrell notices this and informs Stannis of it.
You had best be careful about your brother, Your Grace. He seems quite eager to undertake this mission. Most men who do this tend to have their notices.
Indeed. I have reviewed its financial records, and they seem quite clean.
Gold isn't the only motivator. It is for most men, but your brother is not most men. He is rather ambitious, is he not? He might be looking to do more than enrich himself.
You think he might be gathering allies?
Why else would someone like him spend so much time on the ground, wading through the mud and rebuilding the hovels of small folk? Because it helps him.
If he wishes to throw himself into serving the realm to gain favor, then let him. It would be better spent than all the balls and feasts he insists on having.
Are all Baratheon men so short-sighted? Yes, it might serve the realm now, but only because it serves his purposes. Ask yourself, what shall you do when his interests and the realms no longer match?
Your Grace, I am afraid I must agree with the Queen of Thorns. Many in Azor Ahai's service tried to lead him astray. False friends and sinners who wished to tempt him. They must be crushed before they can spread their poison.
Begging your pardon, Your Grace, but all of this hinges on the idea that your brother may cause trouble in the future. He certainly might. You know your brother better than I do, but surely no law justifies punishing a man for what he might do.
And what would you have me do? Turn me into a kinslayer for what he could do while serving the realm? No, I will not be labeled another mad king. Grant me proof of what you claim, and I will gladly ride out and destroy him. But anything before that, and it shall only be seen as slender.
And yet, soon enough, those interests begin to diverge. As they finish their tour of the Riverlands, Renly and Loras begin to notice something else. There is a growing number of preachers and holy men throughout the region. They travel across the burnt-out villages, speaking of the rot in the realm and how they have strayed off the godly path. Sparrows, they are called, and soon every lord in the Riverlands reports their presence in some way. Rather than treat them as a threat, though, the crown is happy to ignore them, as long as they cause no trouble.
Did you hear the one outside Derry? He spoke of some cycle of abuse amongst the nobility. How they forgot us and leave us to die, only to remember and feed us their table scraps. Indeed. He was calling for the people to rise up and take arms against the nobles. If your brother were here, he would have had that man drawn and quartered on the spot. Yes, he would. He would indeed. We should probably report this, though. The lords have orders to leave the sparrows alone, and only arrest those who cause trouble. I suppose. Although I always did want a pet bird.
Rather than reiterate his brother's orders, Renly instead reaches out to some of his friends within the Seven and gives them orders to provide shelter and food for the sparrows when they pass through their septs. It is a welcome surprise, but shelter and sanctuary aren't the only things they are given. They are given some rumors prepared by Renly that they may spread in their rounds across the villages. While Renly is not bold enough to actively challenge Stannis' rules or put himself forward, he instead focuses on Shireen. The girl lives in her father's shadow, and while bright and sweet, is no great beauty, nor does she possess a strong will or charisma. Renly sees her as an unfit successor. Soon enough, rumors begin to circulate about Shireen. The sparrows raise questions about her grayscale, and they preach that it is a curse from the gods for Stannis' turn against the Seven. They rail how the king surrounds himself with sinners and heretics. Some of the old rumors about Shireen not even being Stannis' true daughter resurface. During the war, Cersei had concocted a rumor about Shireen actually being the daughter of Patchface the Fool, and now those rumors resurface. Among the nobles, it is even easier to turn them against Shireen. She was never popular among them, and rarely attends formal events. Simple gossip is enough. Renly and Loras jest with the lords of the Reach, who remain on friendly terms with them, and there they whisper. They talk about how helpless Shireen would be, and how she has never been educated to rule. She might be sufficient to serve as Lady of Dragonstone, but for something as massive as the Seven Kingdoms, Renly plays the concerned uncle and shares his worry. Yet to others, he talks about how Shireen is shy and might only weaken the Baratheon rule due to lacking strength of her uncles and father. Some sympathize with her, and others laugh, but Renly is sure to keep it as idle gossip. And yet, Stannis takes the bait. He never cared for laughter. To him, jests are just veiled insults and mockery. When he overhears such rumors, he publicly reprimands those lords and warns them that Shireen will be queen. Yet, it isn't just in the halls of castles.
I am afraid these rumors go far beyond the halls of your bannermen. There are even people on the streets who peddle such things. The rumors there seem even viler.
What sort of rumors?
That she has been crushed by the gods for your lack of piety, and that she is not your true daughter. Instead, her father is Patchface.
Lannister lies and religious prattling.
And yet those words have power, especially if the people believe them. It could uproot your foundation if you leave it unchecked.
Then have Sir Richard and Sir Clayton ride out and arrest any sparrow speaking such lies.
That would be unwise. To arrest a man for speaking, even if he speaks lies, only shows you fear what they say, not unless you can prove it otherwise.
How do I prove that she's my own daughter?
Exactly. An infuriating predicament, isn't it?
Still, lies cannot be allowed to fester.
Try not to make such a face when you're thinking, Your Grace. It makes you look constipated. It's hardly the most kingly face. I suppose it is to be expected. This is no simple battle.
Then what do you suggest I do?
Olena smiles, and the three get to work. With the whispers growing louder and Shireen's name mocked in both tavern and sept, Olena Tyrell insists it is time to stop reacting and start leading the narrative.
The realm loves a story, Your Grace. Right now, your daughter is the butt of every jest. Let us give them a heroine instead.
She proposes a kingdom-wide tour, not unlike Renly's in the Riverlands, but centered around Shireen. Olena pulls together her best seamstresses, poets, and septas. Shireen is dressed in soft blue and silver, modest but regal. Her scarring from grayscale is acknowledged, not hidden. Olena makes certain of it.
We do not flinch at scars. We teach them to see courage in them.
The Queen of Thorns coaches Shireen on public speaking and ensures her words are mesmerized but warm. She surrounds herself with septas who speak gently of her piety, and young orphans who say they owe their lives to a royal grain shipments, and children on Dragonstone who claim how well Stannis had ruled over them. The tour begins in the Reach, where Olena holds the most sway. Public feasts are hosted, and bards are paid to sing of Sweet Shireen, Flame of the Realm. By the time they reach Old Town, a dozen puppet plays depicting her kindness in the aftermath of Siege of King's Landing are on display. Shireen does this without complaint, but she also finds it deeply uncomfortable. She was never too keen on public appearances, even with the training she receives. It is not something she enjoys, and the thought of having to do this again and again fills her with dread. But as they move through the Riverlands, tensions rise. One of Stannis' knights, Sir Clayton Suggs, zealous and cruel, interrogates a captured septon found preaching that Shireen is a cursed child, one of Renly's allies, and they waste no time in getting answers. Soon, the man, bloodied and broken, eventually speaks under torture. He admits the rumors were planted, not by common folk, but a circle of loyalist septons with direct orders from some Stormlander lord. Clayton presses harder and uncovers a damning detail. The knight often rode in the company of Sir Perman Crane, a member of Loras' inner circle.
So, the sword swallower opens his mouth once more. I warned you he speaks more than feasts and glory.
Davos urges caution, but the damage is done. Tensions between the king and his brother, never warm, now ice over. Stannis cannot easily forgive this sight, for Renly did not just go after him, he also insulted his daughter. Instead, he stews and mulls over this betrayal, vowing to see Renly punished. And then comes the spark. With Tywin dead and Jaime executed, the Rock is empty of male Lannisters. Kevin Lannister survives, but his claim is tenuous, especially after his defeat. Among the court, names are whispered for succession. Some propose Tommen, legitimized and pardoned. Others suggest Lancel, or even a Riverlander lord with Lannister blood through marriage. Stannis favors Tommen, as though he might be a bastard and ineligible for the throne, but he is the legal successor. But Renly proposes something more dramatic.
The Rock is the crown's prize now. It should be granted to a man the realm can trust. Loras Tyrell is a loyal knight, a hero of the war. And with the Tyrell coffers, a lord who can restore the Westerlands quickly.
He is also not of the Westerlands. Why should he be allowed to rule, especially when a legal heir exists?
Robert once named Jaime Lannister Warden of the East, while Robin Arryn was not of age. Why should this be any different?
The proposal sends shockwaves. Olena is taken back. She hadn't been informed. Mace is giddy, but Stannis is incensed.
You would give the seat of Lannister power to your lover.
I would give it to a man the people admire, the realms trust, and you do not fear. At least until we can be certain Tommen can be trusted and comes of age.
Tommen has a granduncle, and if you have forgotten, Sir Kevin has aided in ruling the Westlands for close to 40 years. If a regent must be selected, then he should rule.
The hall grows silent. This proves to be the wrong thing to say, as many of the River Lords hate this suggestion. They know that Kevan took part in the invasion of their lands and had been Tywin's closest advisor. The Dornish, whom Renly had been courting by leveraging his victory over Tywin in the mountain, also rebelled against this. A few Reachmen are also upset, as they see it as the king stifling an opportunity for their houses to be rewarded. Yet Stannis is not moved. He does not have the backing of the Northmen and most of the Reach and Ironborn, who recall that it was the Redwind fleet that scattered their longships and distrust the prospect of more Reachmen so close to their lands. Olena watches the men with hawk-like eyes. She sees it. This is not a squabble. This has the potential to burn up and turn into a war.
Grandmother Olena, will there be war again?
That's the question, isn't it? What comes after peace, when brothers forget how to share?
For the moment, neither makes the move to move their heir. Many Westerland knights cordon Castle Rock off under the command of Sir Devon Lannister. He commands that no man be allowed to enter until the matter is decided. However, while Loras and Kevan are watched, their supporters soon clash across the region, and Sir Devon must ride out to crush one uprising in his hometown of Lannisport. This provides Renly the opportunity he needs. A group of young Dornishmen, Riverlanders, and Reachmen under the command of Mark Piper and the Redwind twins secretly storm the castle in the dead of night and seize it. More soldiers are secretly smuggled in until 1,000 men line the castle walls, where they proclaim they will open the gates to a Reachman. They are distant enough not to implicate Renly or Loras. Devon is furious, unsurprisingly, and organizes a siege to try and dislodge them. He writes to Stannis, demanding his help to retake the castle. Stannis agrees and begins making preparations. At the same time, Melisandre writes warnings about trouble from the east as Daenerys Targaryen gains strength. And yet Stannis is not impressed.
You would have me worry about a woman across the world while my own realm threatens to tear itself apart.
He dispatches Roland Storm, one of the few Stormlanders he still trusts, to lead a contingent of royal men to retake the fortress. The move is strategic. It gives the operation a veneer of neutrality, but Roland rides under the king's banner. Renly sees it as a power grab. That night, word spreads through his followers, and by morning, the youngest Baratheon summons his banners for protection. Sir Courtenay Penrose is prepared to relieve the city once the army is assembled. However, before that, Renly instructs the Sparrows to strike first, leaving them to preach and attack the people of the West. This forces the Westermen and Roland Storm to put down these rebellions first, buying the garrison in Castle Rock precious time. In her garden chambers, Olena Tyrell watches it unfold with fear, not frustration. She had worked to build this delicate peace. Now it unravels by the day. She reaches out to men on both sides to try and force peace. She realizes a Baratheon civil war will draw the Reach into it and may divide her own house. To Stannis, she is blunt. Do you intend to be remembered as the king who killed his brother over a rock? To Renly, she is crueler. Do not confuse ambition for destiny, boy. Neither budges. Stannis says Renly always wanted a crown, no matter the cost. Renly says Stannis never wanted anything but obedience. Olena returns to King's Landing with dread coiling in her chest. It is not just the brothers, it's all her friends, their allies, their followers, their lovers. Later, in the quiet of the Red Keep, Shireen Baratheon finds her.
Lady Olena, I don't think it's just them you should reach out to.
Olena looks up from her latest letter and stares at her newest grandchild.
It's not just father and uncle. It's everyone. All of their friends, their knights, the people who love them. They'll fight because of that. Not for a crown, but because they want to protect them.
Well, their protection will be the death of us.
Then why not tell them that? So Davos will listen to you. He's always wanted to serve my father well. Surely Renly has me like that.
Seven, help me. You may be the only one in this castle who understands how the world really works.
Olena acts quickly. She sends out ravens, not to lords, but to individuals, trusted ones, people close to the brothers. She summons Sir Davos Seaworth and Melisandre from Stannis' court, Sir Courtenay Penrose, loyal to Renly, and of course, her grandson, Sir Loras Tyrell, as both armies prepare to march. They gather in secret under the cover of night, in the ancient sept of Old Town. She confides in them, convinces them that they know her, that she has bled for this peace. But if the two armies march, there will be no king, no queen, no Reach, no Stormlands, nothing but ashes. Sir Courtenay, solemn and dignified, agrees to restrain his men. Davos, after a long discussion with Melisandre, rides to Roland Storm and orders the host to halt. The Queen's Red Priestess nods in agreement. The risk of Daenerys rising in the east has given her cause to worry, and now that Stannis is fixating on his brother, he fears that these warnings will go unanswered. Yet Loras remains stubborn. He burns with pride, with loyalty, with love.
We cannot let his brother's ambition undo everything. Renly rebuilt his reputation thanks to Stannis. And you, grandmother.
Olena does not rebuke him. She merely steps forward, and for the first time in years, speaks not as a matriarch, but as his grandmother.
Loras, I know what he means to you. But if you let this happen, you will lose him, and the world with him.
You say that now that your plot has come back to bite us.
You think I do not understand that risk? My boy, I have been plotting since you were but a babe. I know what failure means, and I am willing to accept it. But you are young. Too young to lose someone like Renly.
He won't lose.
He will. If this comes to war, no one will win. It won't just be the Baratheons warring with one another. The Tyrells will clash as well. I am prepared to do many things to achieve my goal, but I will never turn my house against one another.
Loras lowers his head, and then the words begin to rise. The Golden Tooth. Sir Courtenay announces he will not cross into the Westerlands until terms are met. The same is true beneath Castle Rock, where Davos arrives in the fastest ship and warns Roland Storm. To their surprise, the warrior agrees and says he will not continue the war. The sight of both armies mounting stuns the realm. Their soldiers demand that their rulers come and speak to them personally. Seeing no other choice and unwilling to send men to punish them, Stannis and Renly journey to their respective hosts to try and rally, but are met with silence and polite defiance. And then they receive another message. Olena Tyrell is in Lannisport with their advisors and wishes to speak with them. A great tent is raised outside the keep. Inside are Olena, Melisandre, Davos, Courtenay, Loras, and Shireen. The brothers enter, fury in their eyes.
This is mutiny.
This is an insult and treachery.
But before they can begin, Melisandre stands.
You speak of insult while the dragon stirs in the east. Daenerys Targaryen gathers her strength across the sea. If we divide now, she will fall before her shadow even crosses the water.
Stannis growls. Renly scoffs. Old wounds tear open.
You think I want this war? That I must clean up my brother's childish tantrums like I did with Robert? I gave an order, and I wished to see it done.
Yes. You decree and decree, acting like a tyrant, because you cannot win the love of the people. Look around you. Riverlander, Reachman, and Dornish all support this plan, but you refuse to see reason.
This is not some popularity contest, brother. You never took duty seriously, and then you dare drag my daughter into this. Be grateful I did not call for your head.
This time Renly does not have an immediate reply. He bites his lip, as that is something he cannot deny or simply dismiss. Stannis takes this as an opportunity to press forward. Voices rise, accusations fly, and then Shireen steps forward.
I don't want to.
They fall silent.
The crown, the kingdom, all of it. I never wanted to rule. If this is because of me, then please, stop. I'll gladly relinquish my claim if it means putting a stop to this. Father, name Uncle Renly your heir and be done with it.
Daughter, Shireen, why did you never say anything?
Because you were so fixated on it. I didn't know how to bring it up, but I won't fight my uncle for it. He wants it more than me, and it seems like he's doing a good job.
Her voice cracks. The tent is silent. Renly looks away. His mouth opens, closes. For the first time, he looks at his niece as his niece, not as an obstacle or as a threat to his power. And then he sees it. Her sad eyes, the grayscale that marred her face, and the way her shoulders slumped. And all this time, he had just made it worse. Suddenly, he does not feel like a king. He does care for it. All he can think about is the shame in his chest for what he put this girl through. Finally, he swallows and bows his head.
I'm sorry.
Stannis exhales and embraces his daughter. For once, she returns it, and the two share a nod, closing their eyes. When he speaks again, his voice is flat, tired.
You would have been a good heir.
A new agreement is drawn. Loras formally renounces his claim to Castle Rock, and both armies will withdraw. In exchange, the garrison will vacate, and none of them will be punished. Meanwhile, Shireen publicly steps down as heir, instead voicing her support for her uncle. Her marriage with Garland may continue if both parties consent, but Renly steps forward and offers to wed Marjorie if they refuse. His first act as heir is to publicly condemn the Sparrows for their actions and call for them to be disbanded. Failure to do so will be met with reprisals from all sides. As the tent empties, Olena watches the two stags walk side by side, not quite together, but no longer on opposite sides of a battlefield. She says nothing, but her hand trembles slightly with relief. And yet there remains the threat of the Targaryens. As they wrap up their alliance, they must now consider the danger of the Dragon Queen as her forces begin to set sail. She brings an army of Unsullied, freedmen, and Dothraki. They number in the tens of thousands and could sweep across the Seven Kingdoms, even without allies. Melisandre urges them to take action against her, sensing the destruction her invasion can bring. They begin preparing their armies, but both brothers and all their advisors note that if it comes to a battle over land, their forces are outnumbered and outmatched by our dragons. So Stannis decides to stop her at sea. While the dragons still pose a threat, they have the superior navy. Stannis has the royal fleet, the remnants of the Iron Fleet, and the Redwind Fleet to call upon. Unlike the merchant ships of Daenerys, these are war galleys built for battle. More importantly, her ships are laden with troops and supplies, making them less maneuverable. If they can decimate the fleet before it lands, they could stop the invasion before it even begins, and better yet, drive Daenerys back. The sea is quiet at first. Daenerys' fleet, a vast armada of merchant cogs, captured slaver galleys, and hastily converted transport ships, winds its way through the stepstones, hugging the rocks and narrow aisles for shelter. Above them, the skies churn with the wing beats of three dragons, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion. They are headed north, lured by the whispers from Plankytown. A Dornish claim that they refuse to accept Baratheon rule and will open the port to them. With that, they will assure them safe landing, Dornish support, and local guides to help them strike quickly into the Reach. This offer was carefully crafted by Renly, who used this connection to the Dornish to send the offers. Because of that, the ships pass through the stepstones. As they cross the largest island, Stannis waits. The royal fleet lies in silence, nearly 100 war galleys flying the crowned stag. Alongside them float the broken remnants of the Iron Fleet, now under Roderick Harlaw. Sea smoke curls above oiled catapults and scorpions.
She took the bait. Her vanguard enters the channel now.
Hold position. Wait until she's committed.
Daenerys' fleet enters the channel, sails proud, her banners flap in the wind, the three-headed dragon of House Targaryen. Below deck, thousands of Unsullied and freedmen brace against the swaying hulls. The Dothraki sit below in the dark, tending to their horses. And then, the Baratheon trap springs. From behind rocky outcrops and narrow straits, Stannis' galleys descend. Bronze rams tear into lumbering transports. Flame belchers and ballista light up the sea. They strike at the heavy-laden ships, who are too surprised to react. Even if they wanted, they could not maneuver because of their tight spot. Yet the Targaryens are not fully defenseless. When their ships collide, the Unsullied bravely leap from ship to ship, fighting the Westerosi in hand-to-hand combat. Many fall before their weapons as they push back boarding parties and try to capture several ships. Yet their spears are meant for land. They are soldiers, not sailors. More importantly, they are facing off against the trained Ironborn and professional sailors who have spent their lives at sea. This desperate counteroffensive soon begins to falter, and it seems like the battle will end right then and there. Then, the sky turns black. Drogon screams, fire rains down, and with it, death. Rhaegal swoops low, setting an entire Baratheon ship ablaze with a single breath. Iron Men scream as their decks ignite. Viserion sweeps behind him, ripping apart a sail and flipping a galley with the impact of its wings. Despite their numbers, Stannis' fleet begins to falter. Their attack bogs down, and this gives time for the Targaryen ships to reform. Some make their escape, and others push forward to strike them. With no room to retreat into the open water, the royal fleet tries to fall back into a deep cove.
Rally to me. Into the cove. Hold the line.
But the dragons are closing in. They circle around his flagship, the Fury, and his escort begins to go up in flame as the dragons attack. Soon he finds himself cut off from the fleet and surrounded. And then the wind shifts. From the south comes a new tide of sails, green and gold, red grapes and silver anchors, the Redwind Fleet. And at its head, Renly Baratheon, clad in gold plate, shouting from the prow of his flagship, the Summer Stag.
Loose! All ships, engage! Trap them in!
The red wine galleys descend from the southern flank, cutting off Daenerys' rear. Her ships, slow and bloated with men and beasts, are caught between two fires. The Dragon's Wheel now forced to split their attention between two naval threats. Renly's fleet drives forward, boxing in the Targaryen host. At last, the Baratheons fight side by side, one brother holding the center, the other crashing down like a hammer on their enemy's flank. Renly's men board Daenerys' ship. On one of them, House Tyrell, sword drenched in seawater and blood, duels with a blood rider atop a burning deck. A cheer erupts across the fleet when a scorpion bolt launched from the summer stag strikes Viserion in the wing. The young dragon shrieks and spirals, crashing into the sea with a geyser of foam and fire. His massive body disappears beneath the waves, leaving only bubbling smoke and a slick of blood. The sight of one of their dragons falling is the final push of the Targaryen army. From there, the Targaryen fleet breaks. With ships burning, soldiers drowning, and their beasts wounded or driven back, Daenerys calls for the retreat. Drogon dives low, snapping the mast off a Baratheon galley in anger. The Dragon Queen herself is spotted fleeing atop his back, her fleet shattered and scattered. The sea is littered with broken hulls and bodies. Black smoke stains the horizon. Stannis stands at the edge of the deck, face smeared with ash and seawater.
She's gone. For now.
Renly's ship draws alongside his. The brothers lock eyes. No words, just a nod between them. They do not embrace, they do not celebrate, but in that moment, the realm is spared. Again. The fleet slowly limps back to the Seven Kingdoms, where Stannis and Renly begin to rebuild. Though a small garrison is left in the stone steps to watch over, in case the Targaryens ever return. That's our theory. Westeros is a land filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey across the Seven Kingdoms and beyond, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.